Hey there everybody, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist and welcome back to my channel. Those of you here for the first time, welcome. My name is Kat Bowser. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm also a writer working on my first two novels, one start of series, one a standalone. And on my channel, I like to talk about what I consider to be the heart of writing. And that's the characters. And the heart of the characters is their psychology. So that's the angle I like to take with pretty much everything I talk about on my channel. Hi guys, well welcome to day 5 of Saviors Week, and today we are still celebrating Jenna's upcoming release next Tuesday of The Savior's Sister. Make sure you guys check the links below. I always leave links to where you can find out more about the book and hopefully pre-order it or buy it when it comes out. So today I wanted to talk about probably one of my favorite aspects of the book, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, and that's the magic system. So like I've said in my other videos, I am not going to give you guys any spoilers, so I'm going to talk in vague terms, but I think that making a magic system, one, you can have as much fun with it as you want. And I think a lot of times when I see people making complaints on a magic system, usually what they boil down to is they were expecting hard magic versus soft magic. So hard magic has very distinct rules, has very distinct expectations. You know exactly how something works. And I understand the appeal. A lot of people like to know, okay, how does this system work? Why does it work here and not there? They like to know those kind of things. But soft magic by nature has a more mysterious element to it. You're not supposed to have all the answers. You're not supposed to necessarily understand why it works the way it does. And I think part of the problem comes in is that I see some criticisms of magic systems, not just Jenna's magic system, but other magic systems, where the complaint is more, why aren't there more rules? Why isn't there a limitation here? Why isn't this explained? And that's not, I think, necessarily a viable complaint for a magic system if it's a soft magic system. Because soft magic is supposed to be this this kind of mysterious element to the novel. Lord of the Rings, for example, has a very soft magic system. We know there's things that Gandalf can do. We know that there's things he cannot do. We don't necessarily know the difference between the two, though. We know he has limitations. We don't always know what they are, but we know they're there. And we know they can change. Like when he comes back as Gandalf the White as opposed to Gandalf the Gray, there is definitely a change in what he's able to do and what he understands he's able to do. So I don't know. I guess for me, when it comes to a magic system, I just want it to be internally consistent. And by that I mean, if it's set up to be this mysterious thing that we don't know a lot about, as long as it maintains a hint of that mysteriousness, I'm fine. If it's a hard magic system where everything is explained and everything has, you have to do X, Y, and Z for this to work, that's fine. Just keep it that way. Now, there is sometimes something that happens where essentially a soft magic system becomes a hard magic system. That can work too. I think usually what people do with that, and I'm not going to say for sure, I kind of feel like that might be something that kind of happens with the Savior series. I'm not sure though, obviously. Is that as the characters learn more about it, we learn more about it, and then the rules become more apparent. I think that is a completely viable way to do a magic system. In fact, I usually do my world building by essentially following the characters around. If the characters know something, then I'm not necessarily going to explain it to the reader. But if they encounter someone who doesn't know this, that would be a reason for me to explain it. So I think if you approach it as starting with the magic being very mysterious, very unknown, you don't necessarily know what it can do, then that gives you really an excellent starting point to explain it as the story goes. And I think as long as you don't info dump it, then it can be a very interesting element to add to your story. What you don't want to do is suddenly get the, oh, here is the mysterious figure that is going to explain everything about how this system works. I mean, I guess technically you could probably make that work, but it would be very hard to do and not make it feel like a lecture. So, in my thought, as the character explores and learns more, the reader can learn more with them. And I always find that fun, because not only do you get to tell us more about your world, more about your magic system, you get to tell us more about the character by showing us how they react to this stuff, how they react to learning how this stuff works, or how it doesn't work. I think the other thing to keep in mind with the magic system, and this is completely my opinion, so you feel free to disagree with me on this. I think the more simplistic a magic system, the better. I'm not necessarily against a complex magic system, but it does kind of take me out of the story a little bit. I don't mind a magic system that's a little more complex than, say, paranormal, but if it's to the point where I have to have like a list of, okay, here's what this does, here's what this does, here's what this does, here's what this does, it takes me out of it. It really does. And I can't say for certain why necessarily. A lot of the times I think it's just there's so many things to keep in my head that I can't focus as much on the plot and the characters, which is what I want to do. Instead, I'm focusing on, okay, what does this magic do again? What does this magic do again? And I just think that magic by nature, especially if you're going to be telling a story that's not necessarily focused on the magic, but is focused on the characters and the plot, you need to keep it simplistic so that your reader doesn't get lost. When people get lost in a story, they lose interest. I'll give you guys an example. I mean, I've read A Song of Ice and Fire. I'm not the biggest fan of it, mainly because there's too many damn characters. There's just too many of them. And I think it's too many to the point that it's detrimental to the story. That's my opinion. If you love that series, great. But I'm just saying, from a reader's standpoint, it got to the point where there were too many characters. I could no longer enjoy the story. And I think that can happen with a magic system too. If it gets too complex, your reader can lose interest and they just don't care anymore. So I think that's why I'm more drawn to soft magic systems, because you don't have as many rigid rules. And you can kind of decide how you're going to go about it. I know that one of the complaints is, well, if there's so much mystery to it, then how do you know what the limitations are? And my answer to that is always, I don't necessarily need to know what the limitations are. I just need to know that they're there. I need to know that they exist, that there is some limitation. I may not understand how it works. I may not understand where it always applies. Maybe I uncover that as the story goes. But as long as I know the limitation exists, for me, that's enough, especially in a soft magic system. In a hard magic system, I would agree. I would want a more detailed, okay, here's exactly where the magic stops, here's where it starts. But in a soft magic system, you're kind of given more leeway. And I think there is this kind of mix of both of them, where you have a magic system where it's not necessarily soft because you understand a lot about it, but you don't know everything about it, so it's not necessarily hard. I don't know what you would call that. A flexible magic system, maybe. I think that's viable too. So the magic system in the Savior series, I can't tell you guys a lot about, obviously, because I want you to read the books. But I like how it's addressed in that we're learning about it because the characters are learning about it. And that's all I'll say on it. So I hope you guys found this video interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts on magic systems, both hard or soft, or the flexible in between. I will get to those comments as soon as I can. As always, I've left links for Jenna's website, her YouTube channel, and where you can buy her upcoming book below. I encourage you guys to do so, I do have a review for it on my channel, non-spoiler. So if you guys want to see if it's the kind of thing you'd be interested in, make sure you check that out. I thank you guys for following me along during this week, celebrating the next book in Jenna's series. And I hope I will see you guys around. If you guys want to make sure that you don't miss when I upload next week, when I go back to my regular schedule, which is once in the beginning, once at the end of the week, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell and you'll get notified whenever a new video goes up. And until then, I hope you guys have a good one, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.